Adjustments, adjustments, technical. What a grand day to celebrate and come together in this autumn morning. October is my favorite month, and many times you've heard me say that on my bucket list is the whole month of October traveling across the United States, seeing and being and allowing that autumn time, that harvest time to come to me, as me, and for me. So what I want to say today is, hello, brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, outlaws and in-laws. You are my family. Confucius wrote, and the quote is, everything has its beauty, but not everyone sees it. Today I look out on an auditorium filled with beautiful people celebrating, you are my family. A supportive community, a loving bunch of beings, and I see your beauty, for each of you are unique, one of a kind, and a blessing of great stature in my life. Some of you have been friends of mine for many, many years, others fairly frequent and new. But that builds the family, that builds the community, and that builds what we are, the life that we share together. A family is a mix of coconuts and all sorts of good things. Be it plants, be it trees, be it shrubs or flowers, animals and people, family and the connection with family creates the memories. And memories are mental pictures, and we all have those mental pictures. And being a rather creative soul and a very visual individual, some of my mental pictures are fuzzy, and I think that's a good thing sometimes. Sometimes as you reflect back, they're more meaningful if they're a little less sharp. But generally, most of my memories are pretty crisp, pretty colorful, and pretty clear. I like to think them as a 20/20 correction. They're right on target. We all gather and process and store our memories in our own special and comfortable way. Some we're very emotional about, some that are comfortable, like an old pair of shoes or that favorite pair of Levi's. In my family album of photos, many of my past generations seemingly never smiled. Now, I didn't inherit that. I have a lot of teeth and a big mouth. As I look back, especially on my great-grandmother on my paternal side, she has very tight-lipped, pursed little mouth like that. Looked like she had sucked too many lemons. And they never looked like they expressed happiness in their eyes. Maybe their shoes were too tight. I don't know what their trouble was, or if they had trouble, or their honoriness was masked by the facade of their face. Who knew? Who knew? Well, what I want to show you today is my family, my biological family. And that is me as a baby in the blue. And I was born here in Chico. And this was taken in November. I was born in May, and this was taken in November, the year that I was born, which was 1939. And all of my family were working here in town, or my father was working, and we lived up on Rock Creek, which is beyond Kiefer Road going toward Cohasset. My father called it poor man's paradise. And they were raising turkeys at that time, and in the picture on the left, you'll see a whole bunch of turkeys, a flock of turkeys. It was right before Thanksgiving. He was shared and partnered up with a gentleman at that time who had the money, my father had the ability. And so when it came time to share the turkeys and to send them off to market, he came along with a piece of corrugated roofing and said, well, we'll just cut them down the center like this, Albert. And Dad said, oh no, we'll count them. Dad won out. You know, families like philosophy and religion carry their message to life. Frequently, my dad, who was a very brilliant man, very little formal education, but he spoke this, and it comes true today. Fate makes the family, choice makes the friend. So when I know that my majority of my biological family have all chosen a new address and have an eternal home, then I don't get to visit them too often anymore. And their physical presence is not known in my life now, but their memories are. But you know, several times a year I go visit the generations, all three of them, at 2 cemeteries and a mausoleum here in town. I take my flowers in hand and I have my memories in my head and my heart. It's fun to revisit and rekindle and realign in the thoughts of what they did for me and the meaning that they still hold in my life. Today, this morning, and every morning, I create my world of experience. For my commitment to my family is the foundation of who I am. It's blended with the use of my Science of Mind spiritual tools. And for some 30 years now, Science of Mind has been the foundation of my life and for my life. It's what gives me the foundation, the stature, and the go. It is what allows me to unfold, it's what allows me to teach. And I trust Spirit. It's the combo of Science of Mind and my German and Italian heritage that carries me forth in the essence that I am. I want to refresh 3 generations back. Some of you have heard my stories, and I want to just kind of do a quick overview. They are funny. Funny bunch of coconuts, let me tell you. On my paternal side, Dad was born in Montana, one of 5 children. His parents were divorced, and his siblings and Dad and my grandmother came to Chico in 1960 when my father was a little boy. My grandfather, his father, was married 3 times and had 3 families, 9 children total. He came to the United States through Canada, where his parents came from Germany and settled. When they migrated, they settled in a very rural part of Canada, and the only thing they were certain of was winter in July. My great-grandparents had 12 children, 5 who lived to be over 100, so there's longevity in this old boy. Well, I did a bit of genealogy research, and it just has discovered many things to me. First of all, my grandparents, the first of their 12 children, was born prematurely, so to speak. The remainder 11 all were a full 9-month term baby. And you know what I decided is that their seeming indiscretion is available on Ancestors.com. So we all have that dysfunction, we all have that dirt, and I'm finding out a whole bunch of stuff that, good thing they're all dead because they masked it all those times. There'd have been a lot of dirt under the rug in my family is what I've decided. Well, it doesn't make any difference. My great-grandparents were married in 1864, and their children, their 12 children, were born between 1865 and 1880, all single birth. No wonder she had a sour look. Well, on my maternal side, which happens to be my favorite side, love those Italians, both of my grandparents arrived, my mother was born here in California, up in Johnsville, which is out of Quincy by Gray Eagle. My grandparents came from Genoa. They met and married in Johnsville, and they had 8 children. My grandfather arrived from Genoa in 1894 and made his transition in 1916, leaving my grandmother with 8 children under the age of 12. That was before the days of any kind of a social program or social security or anything. Thank God for the Catholic Church and the neighbors. They lived a decent life. My great-grandparents were grape growers and winemakers in Italy. So what I have decided, when they came here and settled in Jackson, they were giving new meaning to Dago Red. My grandfather, Giuseppe Guillermo Legamarcino, came in, like I said, 1894. And when we were at Ellis Island a few years ago, we had the pleasure of going to Ellis Island and see how he transported. He was a young man, I think 27 when he arrived, and he passed about 42 years old with miner's consumption, which is now, I'm sure, some kind of a respiratory disease because he was a gold miner. My mother was the seventh child, and she and her younger sister and brother, just older than she, were the only ones that got to go to school. Mother did graduate from high school. I was named for her only brother, Luigi, and he was the only male in the Lagomarsino family, and ironically, he had 3 daughters. So that was the end of the Lagomarsinos. Both sides of my family lived the American dream and were committed to America. And my grandmother, although she spoke very little